Hello, all of my friends here on YouTube. I am so excited that I can do this little sprig of geranium. It's a pink, whitish pink geranium, and we had a good time because I just painted the whole thing with you guys, and now I'm just talking about the introduction. And the only thing that I did differently is after everything is done, I said goodbye. I find out that I needed to use the brush and go do a little bit of defining of this paint, this supporting the green leaves of the geranium, and that's all I did with that. Okay, and so this one, since I have my brush here, we are going to review this one. So I got I think on my last painting I talked about this. I got these two. The link will be down in the description, and the link to the line drawing. Okay, so I wanted to show you the line drawing. Okay, will be something like this. Okay, because there was a couple of you who think that the line drawing could be like more like a finished line drawing. It's not that. The line drawing is for something for you to go get it. It's $1.50, and you can because Etsy make us pay them for a fee and everything, and I really don't make any money, but maybe I would say I make 50 cents, if that, if I don't count my time, but the line drawing will help you get started. You trace it onto, you can use any of the tracing box, light box, or trace it next to a window, whatever is easier for you. So what you will do is you get the, it's a copy, it's a digital copy. You print it out and then trace it with a pencil onto a watercolor paper. The one that I used here is the Stonehenge white watercolor paper. I like it. It takes color really fast and easy. You just have to be careful. You get used to it. You can use Arches, but Arches, I don't like the way that it is harder to take the color, but a lot of people that like to scrub, they like to scrub, use a hard brush and scrub their painting. Those people like Arches better. Okay, but these brushes come in too as I don't remember, $8 or maybe less. The link will be on the description, and so also the link to the line drawing. And so it's good to get the line drawing so you can get everything there. You can only worry about the painting. Even with very, very seasoned artists, they need to do that. They need to somehow have things laid out for them. So that's why I suggested that. But with some of the money that I made with the line drawing, like 50 cents each or 45 cents, whatever, I go test things, so that it will be convenient for you. So this is an Amazon. I'll put the link, and so you can see that I did the most drawing with these brushes, and so it is very good. It's just good. And like I say, don't worry about in the beginning you get a little hair fall, and then the more you use it, it will stop, because even with the best artists who make brushes, you can't get the glue. Even with really expensive brushes, you know that the glue will fall out, and so that is not a defect. Okay, now these I also will put remember, these are also fine line. You will see as we paint together that how important it is to have the line, the tip, very, very fine, so we can get into, oh no, this is not the one, this is the one, sorry. So these two come together, okay, and the length will, but these guys are harder to get because they, for some reason, the artists that make these brush just put a few of them out at a time. And so I was hoping that maybe people can buy these. That I pay for everything myself. I'm an Amazon affiliate, but I don't know these people at all. Okay, so this one painting mainly is this, and at the end when we do the background, we use the happy dots, okay, brush, and we did some of the background with the happy dots. I can also put a link to that for you guys, okay? And so, since I've been gone for so long because of my health reason, and some of you, well, actually one person, but still there's one person, they say that they don't like to talk about like medical problem. It freak them out. They have anxiety. And so I'm going to, the next video is not a painting, because this time when I'm away, I focus on taking care of myself and how to fix some of maybe my bad habit. I don't have bad habit. I'm actually really good. And well, you know, once in a while I might eat something bad. I don't know. You know, nobody knows, right, why we get sick. And so I try to focus on different part. And after I get a little bit better, I get to see my family because they want to come see me, and that was really nice. And but I also get some supply. And so the next time I will show you guys, guess what I'm going to show you. Oh, before I say that, and all the color will be on the description, the color that I use. And as you watch the video, I always, when I introduce, like when I go to violet, I will tell you, okay? And so it is always beneficial to watch it once, and so that I won't give you surprise, and you can have a pretty much idea what brushes I use, and you know, some of the tips. But anyway, and so that is, I recommend doing that and watch it once through. But the next one is going to be a practice. So what I will do is, let me give you okay, I need a little piece of paper. Okay, this is a mulberry paper. Okay, it will be on watercolor paper. Like, I will draw a lot of leaves, okay? I draw it with my own hand like that, and then I will draw a whole bunch of them, and then I will put in the color or the paints that I got, and then we'll practice. And you see, that's how I practice really myself. And so let's put that back in the middle. And so I got this tin box, and all these I pay for it myself, okay? This is CSY Art Gallery, so I pay for this. And where is my other stuff? Oh yes, right here. And I got the sumi color, and then I will this is the Kurtaki set of gold, and I will compare it against this one, and I have already practiced. And so, and then I will talk a little bit more about my health in that video. If you want to see how I practice or see about these products, then you know, then I will talk a little bit more. But if you don't like to hear about health things, then you can just mute me and just watch me paint. Maybe that will be a good idea. Okay, I hope that I have say everything that it's been, you know. So, but this one go perfectly. We didn't make mistake, and so I better sign it, huh? I will sign it over here, and then you watch the whole thing through, and then you can decide if you like to paint along with me. And we did the background, and like I promised in the painting, I talked to you guys about one day. I do not like doing red color a lot because of how fugitive they are, and sometimes I make a big mess. But we like geranium when they are in the red orange color too. And so I will do more practice, and maybe one day we'll do that together, you know, a red orange, and hopefully we'll be successful. But geranium is a good one to explore because you can there's a lot of color, and there's a lot of way to paint it. But anyway, so that would be very fun. And so I think I will just stop. I think I told you guys everything. You know, the brush I use, the color, all the whole list of color will be on the description. The link to Etsy will also be on the description. I hope this will come out very soon, and that you guys can, yeah, I miss you guys. I miss making video and just talking, and you know, showing techniques, and you know, taste, and this design and things like that with you guys. And so glad to be back. And yeah, I'm so glad I'm still around. Of course I will be. I mean, I shouldn't have said something like that. Anyway, and so yeah, so let's get started together, okay? We'll have fun. Hello. Okay, let's get started. So nice to be back. And we'll first use the eraser because I look at my camera, and the pencil mark looked a lot darker than actually was on my this paper that I use, which is Stonehenge paper. And I like that because I just like how white and how it takes color so well. You can also use arches and any kind of good paper, watercolor paper that you can get your hands on, and just kind of go from there, okay? And this is the eraser I have shown you. I think it's this one, okay? And you know, some of these I will put the link down below. Okay, now before I get started, and today we're going to heavily rely on this brush, okay? This is the, because we will just call this the review of this brush. Is actually really good. During this period, I had chances to practice on them, and so I really get to like them, and also okay, well, we'll talk about that in the introduction. Sorry, maybe it's been a while, so I'm a little flustered. I just want to show people, okay, when I say a line drawing will be on a link in Etsy that you can see, okay? And this is the line drawing, okay? It's something similar to this. This is a tracing paper, and I just wanted to show people so you know that it's not going to be a piece of artwork. It's something for you to get you started, okay? Because sometimes, as I always say, it's very hard to not draw and just go into the painting unless you're very, very seasoned. And even very, very seasoned artists, you know, will have a hard time with that, because, you know, you need to worry about painting when you're painting. And so let's dip this brush, we clean it into the magenta color, okay? And we're gonna kind of go over here and do this one first, okay? And so this is relatively simple. I hope you guys are doing very well, okay? So we put some magenta color on here. Okay, and as usual, what we're gonna do is just kind of do the outer circumference of the petal, okay? And then we wet the brush, clean it, and then pull the color out. So there's no pigment on this brush except the color that I'm pulling out of here, okay? So we can call it pulling out the color, or we can call it softening, okay? And then we clean the brush and go and dry it on a paper towel or on a towel, whatever you prefer. And then we will do some on here, on this next one, okay? I kind of make that one darker, and as we think that the light, we always use light to help us to convey the form. And so if it is light coming from there, it's darker down here and lighter up here a little bit, okay? And clean the brush out, dry it on paper towel, and then pull the color out or soften the color, okay? And so we're just gonna, the simplicity of this is we're gonna just keep doing that, okay? And this is the magenta color that I have is from, now you see that I have, you know, leave some kind of a hole. You can call that a hole, a gap, okay? And then I kind of soften it, and so it makes this even softer, the color of this petal, okay? And then there's two other petals in the back, and we will work on that in a second. You know, one of my fear when I know that I'm going to film, I haven't filmed for a while, right? As you guys know, I got sick. And so I need to suddenly direct the focus of my life on something else, and which is my life. And so, but, you know, so some of the, you know, I still practice, like I say, but I haven't, like, really, you know, I haven't really filmed. That is the problem. Now, at this point, we're going to use just some kind of an indigo color, okay? A light touch of indigo, and put it over here, okay? And then when this two color mix in here, then you will, you know, to your eye, but very, very light, okay? Because so the indigo mixed with this, mixed with the magenta color will make this almost purple over here, okay? As always, I like to mix color, you know, and I thought, oh, this is the bottom part, so I need a little bit more intense pigment, right? Okay. And so that will give you the form, and when we do the main part of the flower, it'll be more obvious. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is just get a little bit of indigo again and drop it in here to just indicate shadows, you know, because there should be shadow in the bottom part, okay? And that one is good. It's good, and we're happy, okay? Now, we might want to just use the point, okay? So this brush is so nice. You know, of course, I'm not, I don't know these people. They're in China. So, but I make it, you know, to find brushes for you guys so that you won't get so frustrated Yeah, and I really like the Asian brush, Oriental, Japanese, or Chinese, you know, because I think that they're just very high quality. Okay, I put a line there and I soften it. Okay, and so that's what I did, just a little bit of that. Now we're going to go and do this part right here. Okay, now since it's the also the, you know, with geranium, the flower, the pink color geranium, and this petal is on the back, so we're not going to worry so much. Okay, we're gonna just make it a very, very light color, and then we soften it, and that suggests to you that there's a petal, right? You can see there's a petal at the back. Okay, and I'm going to further erase this line right here because it seems kind of harsh to me. Okay, so you can, of course, you can always have an eraser in your hand, or on the table that you're painting. And like I always said, you know, so now that I'm starting, I felt like I'm starting over again. Do not worry about trying to be as fast as I do, go as fast as I do, because I have done this quite a few times. I actually, this is one of my card. When I used to sell card, I actually do this. And so there's like just a suggestion that there's a couple of petals on the side, okay? On the back, sorry. Okay, now let's go on. So we work on the, yeah, let's just go on to the main part of this, okay? And so I think maybe erase that a little bit more. It might look a little bit confusing because, you know, geranium has a little, you know, the flower head is round, but it has a lot of little flower, the best I can describe that, in the middle. And so we have to work on those. And I am a little bit worried that my speed will be a little bit slow because I haven't filmed, but I still need to make good time so that I can make sure I finish this within an hour 15 minutes, you know. But I hope that, oh, I get so many nice email from you guys when I was, you know, when I was not filming. Okay, there's a little odd shape here, but intentionally I make it shaped like that because you don't want to just have the flower, the petal all in one shape, right? You know, as artists, we try to make it so that, well, and in life too, right? In real life, the flower are not all in one shape, you know, because you see them from one side, different angles, okay? And drop a little bit of indigo right here, okay? Just to give it a little bit of shadow, okay? And so, and the lighter towards the top. Okay, no, I'm looking at the, so let's jump around so that we don't paint a wet petal next to a wet petal, okay? Same thing, we just have our pool of indigo, and the indigo I have is, if it's Daniel Smith indigo. Oh, I'm sorry. Magenta. And the indigo is also Daniel Smith. And sometimes I use M. Graham. And so, and you know that you don't have to go to Daniel Smith. You can, you know, so we're just doing the same thing. You can actually go to, you know, Amazon. They have them there, and that's kind of nice. And you can just go find them that way because, you know, my maestro, I told you that the old lady, she's getting very old now and forgetful, but she still, I think she still watches, I hope she still watches my thing, my video. She likes that because and I just pick up a little bit more pigment of magenta and darken that area a little bit. Okay, and drop a little drop of indigo down here. My my maestro, I call her my maestro, she actually lived in the Washington area right next to Daniel Smith, and she really had a lot of fun because, of course, you know, I don't know if Daniel Smith still have their storefront, but you know, as of right now, I like to go to Blake Art Supply, right? Because it's close. They have one in Salt Lake City, so I just go over there sometimes. Okay, and then we see that there's a petal here and there's one at the back. Okay, so but we're going back over here and to do that one. Okay, and since that one is a little bit towards the top, then what I wanted to do is just a little bit of pigment and come with a clean brush. Okay, and that will make this lighter than the one down here, okay? Even though it's ever so slightly, you know, when you see the whole painting, it makes a difference. Okay, and so, you know, we are painting right next to each other, and it is my, you know, my practice is to just do not try too hard to leave white space, because you know, white is special, like between petal, you know, don't leave white space, because the reason why we don't do that is because there will be, you know, we use that for the sparkle or the white of the actual flower. Okay, let's try to do these two, the one that is in the bag. Okay, so we don't have to worry too much, you know, there's a general shape, and all these will be in the drawing that you guys will go get. Okay, yeah, you see that I kind of try to do some veins there, but still will soften them out. Okay, and so just like that. Okay, because these are in the back, they're supporting, they're in the background. We don't have to make them too intense, if that makes sense. Okay, now when we put the center part of the flower, then you guys will be able to see a lot better, because right now you're just kind of like, oh, we're just like doing a lot of petal, which is true, and in good speed. Like I say, you guys don't have to be rush like me. Okay, you guys just take your time, you know, do it slowly. And if you can't do it slowly because I'm doing it quickly, then just pause me, right? Okay, just 2 pieces of petal on the back. Okay, there, see, a harsh line is about to form. So, but with magenta, it's probably pretty easy, for you to use a clean brush and soften it. And it is very, very worth it to use good watercolor. But if you guys, you know, have some, then just go ahead and use that until you're comfortable. And now I'm trying to add a little more intense color over here to make the bottom petals stronger. And these are pretty much dry, right? And like I said all the time, you know, wherever you live, you know, it will make a big difference on how fast the water dry. And I am telling you, we are praying for rain. Utah has been so wet, I mean so dry. We have to pray for rain, because I think we sell water to California, from what I understand, and the farmers here are not very happy, right, with the lack of rain. With no rain, there are usually some insects too, and that's very annoying also to them. And I can see that even in my flower in my garden, I'm having some insects, like the cricket, the cricket that is so prevalent in this area, you know, in the Utah area. And so I saw them, and I have to, oh, they are ugly, and they would try to kill my plant, kill my flower. They like my chrysanthemum. They don't kill it. Chrysanthemum is a very, very tough flower. Okay, now we're going to paint this petal, and this petal is the back side. Okay, and so we're going to use a light wash of magenta on a clean brush. Okay, and fill this up, because the back side of the individual flower petal are not, you know, you can fill that up. And I also need to distinguish between this petal and that one, right? So that's what I choose to do, and have an eraser and get rid of some of the pencil mark. It's just too strong. Okay, and I promise you I have good practice. Instead of blowing on it, I'm going to use a brush to brush the eraser mark off. Okay, and use a clean brush. Go pick up some light wash of magenta, because this cluster of petals are at the back. Okay, so we don't have to use too intense color. If we are lacking in intensity, you know, the time to judge is when things are almost done together, and then we say, this need to be a little more intense. So we will just do it at that time. Okay. So it's like a cup shape. It's like a cup shape on the back of this flower. Okay. Okay, isn't that nice? Okay, we get that one done. And okay, there is one cluster right here, and we'll walk on that. Okay, I just had a little hair that come out, and I know that sometimes some of us will just say, okay, I'm just going to do this petal right here. Okay, some of us, you know, so you know, carefully kind of just do that. And this one can be a little more blue because it's pushed behind. Okay, so you can watch how I'm going to do it. Okay, I'm using a clean brush now to soften that. And in order to make it to your eye that is pushed back, I'm going to drop a little bit of indigo in here, okay? And then to your eye, this petal, well, at least it's supposed to, will be pushed back a little bit, because it's not the same intensity as the other, okay? There's a little petal right there, and so let's pick that one out. Okay, so we're just gonna do the same technique over and over, okay? Kind of outline that thing. Outline the petal. Okay, so this is one in the bottom, so I put a little bit more intensity of magenta, and then I will come with a clean brush, and I'm very gentle when I clean my brush, you know, so you don't hear these clanking. It's not necessary, but it still is in the back, so I'm still gonna put a little bit of indigo. Okay, right there you can see how little that is, but it makes a difference. It'll make these one stand out and these one push back. And with the line drawing that I'm gonna give you to purchase at Etsy, it will be so much easier. You don't have to worry. Okay, now so let's talk about geranium a little bit, because as geranium, okay, we have to all agree. Well, you don't have to agree, but you know, with some of the ladies that we were just talking about it, and the one that reigns supreme really is to us that we think is the red, the orange red color. Okay, because of watercolor, personally, I do not like to do the orange red color, but I'll promise you I will one day, when I have a lot of time to practice, you know, because red is a fugitive color in watercolor, and so I have a hard time controlling it. And so, but I promise you one day I will do a geranium that is red, orange, okay? So meanwhile, we'll just use magenta, because, you know, it's already hard enough. Okay, there's a flower right here, and so we're gonna just work on that for now, okay? Let's see, I'm 19 minutes in. Okay, you can see that I'm going to be a little bit more careful with checking time, because of you know, I'm a little bit insecure about, you know, having film right for a while. Usually I know that I am about 20 minutes or something, you know. And so like I think I will talk about it in the beginning of my intro. I have gotten some you know, some supply, you know, just to have fun the last few months, and I wanted to do a review of the art supply, and, you know, let you see how I practice myself. And so I'm going to do that. Okay, now I'm dropping some indigo in here. Okay, just a little bit. That's just to help me to push it back. Okay, and push this cluster back. And so in that video where I'm practicing, I will talk more about my illness, my cancer, and how I am doing now, and why it was so long, such an early stage, but still it was so long. And so because I have received things from people that they don't want to hear, and which is, you know, make me sad, but that's okay. So I'll just do one, and for the one that you guys, you know, maybe you want to practice with me, maybe you just want to listen, and if you don't care, then not don't care, I'm sure you care. If you don't like care about practicing the way I practice, you know, sometimes, then, you know, you can just watch, right? You don't have to practice with me. Clean brush, okay? Clean brush, pulling out the color right here. Yeah, it's up to you, but I have gotten some stuff that I really like to do some review, some color, and like what I've been doing, like, you know, because I told you that I've been practicing, but I want you to know, you know, how I practice, what I practice. Okay, I put a little bit more magenta in this, so to, you know, you can say separate the petals, or, you know, just to intensify some area. And even though we intensify, I still wanted to put indigo to push it back, okay? And you can see that I, you know, I just let the indigo mix color, okay? That's the way I like to paint. Okay, and so we're gonna let the cluster of flower, and let's work on these, okay? The one at the back, okay? So the bud. Okay, so still the same brush. Is that nice? Because these two brush I find on, okay, so now I'm going to go to my green mix, okay? I always have this green mix. You know, it's been here. I use it. You know, color lasts a long time with me. And so I'm going to go into with a little bit of sap green, okay? With a clean brush, same brush. Okay, because I know that if I use the very tip of the brush, you know, I will be able to, okay, just the supporting green, okay? And then clean the brush, and this one should be a little dry, and go in there and fuzz it out, okay? Fuzz it out. Now I want the bottom part to be a little greener, so what do? I go into the prylene green. I go into the prylene green, which is like right here next to my sap green, prylene, and indigo right here, okay? And then the other yellow, I go in the prylene green and I drop the color down here so it's a little darker on the bottom, okay? So now I'm gonna go into this cluster here because that is mainly green, so I'm gonna do that. Mainly green. And so this is, so let's just say, okay, this one is a sap green. Now I'm leaving some holes there, I'll show you why, okay? And this one is sap green too. Okay, and then we'll mix some prylene. Now the tip, the sharpness of the tip make it so awesome. Now I also have this one, this other brush. It's just right here next to me. This one that I've been also recommend you guys to go get. But this one is harder to get because for some reason the seller whom I had, okay, now I'm going to just pick up the prylene green, okay, and keep going with this one. And the reason is I have contacted them. I've told you guys that, and they might be, you know, because of the language difference, you know, I don't know what language and what province in China they came from, but they try to, you know, replenish their stock, but you know, sometimes it's just not very reliable, and which is still okay. I think we should wait. Sometimes with things in life, it's worth waiting, and I think that, you know, worth waiting for whoever the master is in that place. You know, either he take his time or maybe the master. Now that is the stem, right? Okay, so I just put prylene green in there, and then I'm going to rinse the brush and clean, and just slightly, you can see that I'm using the tip, slightly rub that, okay? And so that will give the form, okay? That looks like the stem. Okay, and this over here, the prylene green is not as intense, so I can just come back and do that, okay? And so there's a little bud over there, and we will just use the prylene green, a light wash of it, and finish it out. Yeah, we'll just like, you know, but this one, I think this one though, however, you can, this one with the red and the very black tip, you can, now I don't know what hair, they actually have Chinese character, no Chinese character at all. So I have no idea what hair they are, but, you know, I go out and because of the, you know, of the line drawing, as I told you, I'm very honest. because I love you guys. I'm not, you know, I don't make that much profit. With each line drawing that I sell, I may make, oh my gosh, like less than 50 cents. But if I sell a lot of them, then I have a budget, you know, for me to go out and buy brushes, okay? And so, or buy whatever supply. And so I like that, and I do that. And, you know, even till today, I am not all about, you know, like I have so many people solicit me, you know, go to this Skillshare or whatever. I don't do that because I like to do what I like to do. And, you know, I think Skillshare, people have to pay. I don't know. I know nothing because I'm not interested, so I don't check on it. I just like to, you know, whatever. I like to share. I like to receive email from you guys. It's just very encouraging and happy. Now, these are dry because Utah, right? These are dry. Now, I can tell that my mouth is very dry fast than before. Okay, I'm going to have a light touch of magenta and then put that there. And so, you know, in the hole, in the little hole that I save. Okay, now that tip is not. So let's come in here and smooth it out a little bit. Okay, there you go. Okay, let's get a little bit more magenta and put it on this little bud here. Okay, doesn't that kind of show you that this is ready to open and ready to burst, okay? And now, you know, like that is also totally dry, right? And so is that one. Let's do that one. But I would like to erase more of the pencil mark. And good practice, use a brush instead of blowing on it. Because one day I might blow everything out, and that's not good and in front of the camera, right? Okay, magenta, okay? Now I start on the bottom here and the darker side. Okay, start on the bottom here. You just follow and fill in, you know, you can just make sure that it's next to the green, okay? Don't worry about it. Because of the sharpness of this brush, you can go in and do that. So nice. Okay, like that, okay? That's the petal, and then let's, we probably shouldn't be working on the other petal. Okay, let's not then. Okay, let's do this one. Okay, just go right up to the supporting green, okay? And then we'll smooth it out. Smooth it out. Oh, isn't that fun? Watercolor, that's the fun part of watercolor. And then this one too, okay? So the color can be more intense when it's closer to the bottom of the bud. Okay, and then let's erase this line right there. We don't, the eraser is not very happy with me today, okay? Okay, that's okay. We'll just go put some green on there to take care of the pencil mark, or the pencil mark that's on the eraser, okay? So isn't that pretty? Okay, and then we will come and do this other petal on the bud, and more intense down in the middle. And then soften it, clean brush. Yeah, you don't hear me, but I did, I promise. I did go in the water and clean it gently. You know, and that's the way I do things, okay? And so we had that, okay? And so before, let's work on these two little buds. Let's get all the buds done, okay? Okay, so green, okay? We can use sap green or sap green mixed with prylene green, up to you. And this, I wanted to have, I wanted to have this right there. Okay, so there's one coming up right there, okay? So it's like prawns, right? Prawns on the diamond. When you buy diamond, you see the prawns or whatever gemstone that you guys like. I have to confess, I really am I don't want a lot of jewelry, that kind of person, but I have a lot. Because my husband's mom, on the other hand, okay, now we're going to do something different with this bud, okay? So let me explain that to you. Okay, so we're going to just gently put, do you see that? Put the line, okay? Okay, and then I gently come down here. Again, over here, I'm going to make a little shape so that the bud actually look like it's a white color bud. Okay, over here. And do that. Okay, isn't that pretty? Isn't that pretty? I love that. I love that. Okay, and this is like the same thing. I'm going to put some color over there. You can see that how I abuse my paintbrush. I do. Not abuse, but that's just the way I am. You know, when I dry it, then they kind of like to flare out. But a good brush to me is they will, with a paper, they will just go like this. They will go back to their original shape. Now, and when they are not, when you have a hard time getting them back into their original shape, then you might consider that it's time maybe to get some new brush if they have a hard time coming back to a point. And sometimes, you know, it's funny, not funny, but it's the truth. It could be 10, 15 years before you have to do that, and that is the truth. That, yeah, but I was just telling you that my husband, okay, the same thing, okay, I'm doing the prawn area, okay? My husband's mom, on the other hand, was one that really, really loved jewelry. She had the opportunity to live in Beirut, to go to Beirut, because they live in Saudi Arabia and Libya. Okay, and that's the bud. And pull the color out, okay? So it's softer, so it makes it look round. See, the pencil mark in there is a little bit too intense, but that's okay. That's okay. We're good. We don't worry about things too much, okay? Yeah, so they had the opportunity to live in Beirut, and so many years ago, I would say 50 years ago, okay? That's the prawn area again. And so she liked to buy jewelries, and, you know, and she passed away, and so I inherit some. It's kind of fun, you know, kind of fun to see what the artist does, you know, in different country, right? Oh, let's just make this one green, okay? Let's just make that one green. Altogether green. Okay. And then go back to the magenta with a clean brush, and we're doing this. Yeah, so, you know, in whichever area you live, your paint will dry at a different rate as I am. You know, if you live in Malaysia, Vietnam, you might take a longer time than me. Okay, so but that is okay. Now we're gonna work on a little bit. Oh, let me pause the thing and I'll come right back. Okay, let's see. Okay, it is already. It's already okay. Now the pausing every half an hour give me a chance to get a drink of water and also go jump around. I found that really helped me, and I need to, you know, that's things that I learned that I need to take care of myself and make sure that I get enough exercise and don't just keep going, right? And that's something that I've been doing, and, you know, I don't know. It's better for me that I do things like that, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the talking about painting, okay? A little bit of prylene. I might dip some. And then what I'm going to do is put this in the background, okay? And that further separate the petal. And then maybe do some over here. And that's the separation, okay? And should I put some over here? Maybe, just a little bit. Now, so what does that give you? An illusion that there are some green in the background, right? And because I have done that, and so I wanted to put some green here too, okay? So I'm like actually doing the background right now, okay? So that it's consistent, because I don't want a totally white, a white background with nothing green, and then suddenly there's a few green over there. If that makes sense at all, that's like a little bit inconsistent, okay? You can see that I'm trying to play with the color and bring the green into the geranium too. I just love geranium. I love them, but the deers around our area also love them, okay? So let's do a little bit over here so that you can see what I'm talking about, okay? So since there's some green, I put some green right here. Okay, so that just make it consistent that in this painting, there's some green, you know, in the back, because, you know, geranium never stand alone. I mean, you know, what I mean is, like, when you and just a little bit of the background, okay? So we're not going to do a lot of the background today, just a little bit, and it covers some of the pencil mark, and it also make, you know, give you that some atmosphere, you know, the feeling of the atmosphere behind, you know, because like, you know, one day, if I have the chance to practice and work out, I will do a, you know, like a planter box, you know, like in Italy, and, you know, how people live in different floors, or, you know, I say Italy because I've been there, and they like geranium. Oh, wow, the geranium that my daughter and I went, oh, that was basil. That was actually basil. We went on a walk. You know, one day my husband was in a conference, and we went, and my daughter and I went and take a train, and we went to the countryside because we only have a few days there because of his conference, okay? So that is the, you know, the slight background that we're gonna do. And we were able to go, just, you know, so we say, okay, now, before I keep going with the basil, there's a line right here, right? And so I'm continuing, okay, I'll use a pencil. I'm continuing this line, and I'm going to do a stem. Okay, that's just hair from the other brush. Okay, a stem that come out of here, okay? Come from here, okay? Okay, there's a stem, and connect the stem to that. Okay, so we have a connection there, okay? So that's what I'm gonna do right now. I'm just gonna use some prylene green and a clean brush. And I'm going to do the same thing as the other one, you know, just use the tip, right? Beautiful tip, probably because it's kind of new, you know, so, and then I clean it, and then I come and scrub it out a little bit, okay? Scrub it out a little bit, okay? And then I'm going to connect this line with this one right here, okay? Yeah, so we were we were just taking a train, and then we say, okay, well, we just take a stop at any stop, and then we will look at the, we saw shops and such, and then we say, well, let's go in. And because it looked like there's a path that keep going, and so we go in, and we saw, wow, beautiful people with planters, with geranium, and we were just having a feast with our eyes. You know, we like flowers. And so, okay, there's a stem I want to come out of here, okay? And then it kind of go behind this and connect this with that one, okay? So if you guys can see that, it's kind of hard for me to be looking at it. So let's do a stem right here. Okay, we'll come out and scrub it out in a minute. And a thicker one, because as you go down, it should be a little bit thicker, right? Okay. It's coming together, isn't that fun? And scrub that out a little bit with a clean brush, okay? And that's it. That's all we're gonna do. We're just going to do a sprig of the geranium. Like I said, I will do the planter if I have time, you know, or, you know, we have time together. I love the channel, so don't worry, we will do that, okay? And then let's do the middle, okay? The middle part, so it's very simple, okay? I just decide to do it very simply, okay? We can use magenta, but let's use quinacridone violet. Okay, quinacridone violet. It's a darker kind of purple reddish color, okay? Okay, I'm going to go in and dot the middle. Okay, let's dot this one first. Okay, that's the one in the back. In the back, but it's still, okay, and this is the cluster, and now you can see, right? And this is just, you know, it is important because it suggests, you know, then you suddenly to your eye, you can see that, oh, yeah. So there's a petal here, there's a petal there, okay? And then there's a petal over here. We'll just dot that, okay? That's how simple our design is. And there might be one right there. This one you can hardly see, but we can do that, okay? So doesn't that make such a big difference now? And then I'm going to go in and use my dark blue indigo and make a couple of dots, okay? Couple of dots. Just that simple. Okay, and then of course, you know, most of the plants, they have a yellow, let's use the light yellow. They have a yellow yellow where the pollens are. Okay, so we will just, I don't know, maybe it's just to attract bees. I have no idea, but we will want to be true to nature, and so we kind of do that. Okay, isn't that pretty? That suddenly just, you know, kind of finish out the painting. Now, so with the rest of the time, I might, you know, go like, see, I make a little bit of the eraser mark right there. So let's use some prylene green and just kind of do the background just a little bit. Okay, and then scrub it out. Okay, scrub that out. Scrub that out. I mean, use a clean brush and just kind of, oh, we have some atmosphere here. We don't know what's back here, but there's something that's green in color. When I first did this painting, that was because someone gave me a little geranium that is pink, and so, oh, I think it was Mother's Day. It must be Mother's Day. The church gave it to us, and so I was able to nurse it to life. I mean, for a little bit, and so now, so for this green, we can keep using this brush, or we can use let's use our good old standby, our lovely happy dots. Okay, happy dot details, right? The one that I also have that for you guys, and the link. And so what we're gonna do is we are not going to worry about too much, okay? About the green, because they support the flower. We don't need to do a lot of detail, and so I'm gonna put some indigo color over here, but a light wash. Okay, a light wash of indigo, maybe mixed with a little bit of prylene green. Okay, this is the flip side of the flower. Okay, we'll paint that one first. Okay, and then we'll go and do this the same color, this part. You see the brush is all flattened by me. I'm gonna just go, you know, in here, because we have a bigger area, so the happy dot will be, you know, you can paint more freely with the happy dot. I think that's what I would say. Okay, and just dip some prylene green and let the color mix on the paper, on the actual painting. Okay. Okay, and so this part we're gonna put a little bit of sap green in there. Okay, but I'm going to do that part too. Okay, and so we're gonna use just mainly the prylene. Okay, over here, and I'll add some sap green on there. It doesn't matter if it is right next to that stem area. Okay, clean the brush. And so it's a clean brush and a damp clean brush. Okay, and then suddenly we soften the prylene green. Okay, let's get a little bit more prylene green and finish out this area. Okay, you can see that I would not like to leave a white mark in between the stem and that leaf in the back, because, you know, there's not a mistake, a happy mistake, I guess, over here. There's a white, and I like that. Okay, let's get some prylene green over here, and then we will do a little bit of that color, and I'll drop some indigo in the darker part. Okay, and then now I'm going to go into and pick up a little bit of sap green and just do that over there. Okay, you can see that there's a gradation of color. It makes it look really kind of pretty. It really is. And then I'm going to use you know, I will use the point of my happy brush, okay, and go in and get the indigo color. Okay, so that's quite intense indigo. Okay, and I'll put it right there. Put it right there. Okay, because I wanted that. Can you see that? Yes, you can see that. And then push that out. Okay, isn't that pretty? Okay, and then I'm going to finish this part. Let's just use the sap green first, because that will make a distinguish between the back of the leaf. You know, geranium's leaf are all cupping shape, right? And then I'm going to drop a little bit of prylene in there, green, okay? And just let it mix over there. And then over here, a little bit of sap green, same thing. Okay, and then use a clean brush and bring out the sap green color. And then drop a little bit of the prylene in there. Okay, just let them have a good time in their mixing color. Okay. Okay, now I want to, okay, is this dry? This is dry. So what I wanted to do is go back to that brush and use a little bit of the indigo color. The indigo color right here. Oh, I can't believe times are good, that we didn't, like, we're not too slow, that I haven't lost it. Okay. And what this is just to let you see that, you know, it's like a cupping shape. It goes into the middle of the leaf, okay? Okay, and then we use a clean brush and dry it, and then just pull the color out. Make sure that there's some color that come over here so it's consistent. Okay? Okay, we're gonna let that dry a little bit, okay? So maybe the stem should be right. There should be a stem area. So let's just pick up the prylene green and just follow this line and say, okay, right there. So that we don't have a broken line, right? No broken line. Okay, right there. Okay, we wanted this to be the middle part. And so now I would gently use some line to indicate there are, okay, so when I do line, then I like to, you know, I'm gonna have one come out here, a vein, sorry, the line. Okay, so the vein, so that we can see that they are, so I like to, when I do the vein, I like to use the deepest color, okay? And so let's do this one first, okay? I just have some vein, okay? Let the vein come out of the middle, and kind of like that, okay? And then have some, we don't need to draw all of them, right? As a matter of fact, it's not preferred to draw all of them. It will make especially the leaf as the supporting part, make it very, very busy. Okay, and then after the vein is drawn on, we will soften it. Okay, just soften that so it's not too stark. It's not taking away from the flower. Okay, and let's do the vein that come out of here. This one will be easier because the vein come out of the middle part of the flower, and it's spread a little bit like that. And there might be a vein that can be visible right there. Okay, and then clean the brush up, and just do that. Okay, that's how I like to. And then I think that I should do a vein right here, even though it's the back side. So we'll use the lighter color and use the sap green. You know, I really like my green mix, as you guys know that. I really like my green mix color. You know, maybe put something to indicate that. Okay. And then we will soften that out. You can still see the vein, but you see that I have softened that out, and I wanted maybe one area come down here just a little bit. Okay. Soften that out, okay? So that is the, you know, we can call it done. Let's see if we will call it done. I think we will. Okay, so now let's work on use our happy dot and just work a little bit on the background, okay? Just a little bit, so lightly. Okay, so we want a little bit of green, yellow. Maybe I will just take some yellow and mix that with sap green over here, you know. That's how much I mix. I don't really mix a lot of color. as you guys know that. Okay, and so that suggested there's some yellowish green stuff in the back of this sprig. Okay, and so let's get some over here. But we'll just like, you know, say that, okay, some prylene green, okay, because I want this area to be a little bit darker. So I drop that in there when it's still wet, okay? And then just bring it out. Just bring the color out. And since I like that white one so much, I'm just going to leave it alone, but I can like almost go into these other ones. You know, and then that will blend them in with the rest of the painting. You know, it's kind of pleasing. Maybe some indigo, drop it in there so that it's not so flat, right? The color is not so flat. And then, but this is going to be a prolific geranium, so we want to drop some pink color over here. And as we do that, that is a suggestion, right? Oh, okay, there's some geranium over this area too. But we, you know, it's just our focus. Yeah, let's make the edge a little bit smoother. Okay, like that. Isn't that fun? Okay, so let's just do this part a little bit, and then we'll call the painting done and say goodbye. And like I say, if you wanted to, you know, I will do the, you know, my practice, and, you know, in the introduction, I'll talk to you about the next one, what I'm going to practice. Not this one, the next one. Okay, and then that's the sap green. Okay, and I'm gonna put some prylene in here. Okay, so make sure that that's not so flat of a color. Okay, and so let's put a little bit more prylene in there. So the suggestion of the color is very pretty. And then we will do a little bit of magenta over there, okay? To suggest that there's another cluster of magenta right here. But it's just out of focus. Okay, there you go. And that's it. Maybe drop a little bit color so it's a little bit stronger, maybe. Okay. And a little bit over here. I just did a little bit over here and need to soften it. Okay, but isn't that lovely? I have enjoyed doing this with you guys. And so I hope that you will go and get the line drawing. Watch this ones first, and then yeah, and then if you wanted to, you know, just chat with me and watch me practice in the next one, and do some review on some different color or different supply that I have. But yeah, this is a winner. This one is winner, is to me, you know. But anyway, and then we'll do it in the next one, okay? And for those of you who doesn't like to listen to you know, health stuff, then maybe you don't want to watch it, or mute me on the next one. But this one, you can watch me. Okay, bye-bye. I love you guys, and so grateful that I can come back and do this. And I will see you guys in the next painting.